Hello YouTube, and thanks for joining me for an episode of Nature's What's Inside. So after a decent amount of searching, I was able to find a few specimens of these oak galls, or oak apples as they are sometimes called. I don't know if that's usually referring to the larger ones, the ones about the size of a golf ball or a little bit smaller, or if that includes these. And then I also found quite a few specimens, and I brought back these three of these woolly oak galls. Now, both of these, as well as the various other kinds, are formed when an insect or some other stimulus reacts with the plant tissue itself, and it causes this reaction. I believe on this type right here, it is formed by the stinging and the implantation by an oak gall wasp of its egg, in this case it may be eggs, I'm not sure, into the leaf tissue as it's forming, and it affects, it almost causes like a cancer, or this reaction, the chemical and the stimulus causes this reaction to form around the egg. This is plant material that encases, that protects, and that ultimately provides some sustenance there for the developing larva. I mean, that is just fascinating that an outside stimulus, a sting by a wasp, can cause this, you know, almost quite ornate development to form. I mean, it looks like a Flintstones dinosaur egg, or like a gumball, or a tree ornament. I just find these quite fascinating. These are as interesting as well. I mean, they're like a little cotton ball. They're fluffy, they're puffy, but ultimately, I mean, they provide a protective home for the little developing wasp. I don't know if the wasp is already hatched out of these, or if this is something that drops and the wasp comes out in the spring, but we're gonna cut open and have a look at these. This one right here is the most mature. You know, this one doesn't seem like it's fully mature, and it's also on a greener leaf. Last year, actually, I got one of these that was still quite fresh and green and developing. They're full of juice, not where it would. They're solid but plump, and I ate one of these just as an experiment, and it didn't have a terrible taste, and it was interesting. All right, let's cut these open and have a look inside. Also, be sure and check the description, because I'll include some of the facts and possible species identification that I have come across for these galls right here. All right, thanks so much. So since the dull colored one was my, least interesting of the three, I decided to cut into it first. So that's what it looks like on the inside. It has these fibers going down into the center. So again, I assume that right in the very center is where the larva or the egg is located. So we'll see if we can't cut into that as well. It's interesting, these fibers, they feel almost like fiberglass, or almost like very fine crystals. They're quite hard and kind of brittle. So I thought that was neat to describe that to you as well. All right, we do have the larva inside. There it goes. So it's, it's going to be killed by this action. It's not in its protective case anymore, so it's not going to survive this, but we're doing it for the purpose of science. Now, one thing about oak galls, they look quite destructive, and some of them look even more destructive, and so you might think that they are quite harmful to the oak tree, but from most accounts, most of them, and I would say ones like this right here, are fairly innocuous. They don't provide enough harm to the oak tree to do any damage. The leaf can still function, it still carries out photosynthesis, and the wasp larva gets a free ride. It gets to develop there and grow into a mature little wasp. So there's the larva. Poor guy. So I don't see any point in getting into the other two right there, you know, because we were successful in seeing what this one looks like. There's the little shell, basically almost like an egg shell. It's got the fibers in there that held the little egg encasing right in the very middle. And there's the little wasp larvae. At some point it will eat through that once it's matured enough, eat out of that, and then if it's already a wasp at that point, or it'll molt, whatever it's got to do, and then fly away. Alright, so I just pulled out some of the fibers right there. And unless it fell, I did see a little larva on it as well. I don't see it right now, so it may have fallen down. Or it's just not moving. Okay. It's a little bitty guy. Not as wobbly and everything as on the other one. There it goes. Now what I'm not sure is, it seems like there's some little cones here, and I don't know, there may be a larva inside that cone, that one, and there's another one over here, and of course, you know, then this part's going to have 4 or 5 other cones on this side, and maybe 6. So we'll keep looking and just see what we can discover. So indeed, it does seem to be the case that there's that larva, it's the largest one, and inside each one of these little cones is another egg. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. There's a tiny little one. It's not near the size of this one, which makes me wonder, is this a more mature one? Or is this possibly another parasite that comes in to eat the oat gall, but was not the one that implanted that egg right there? So is this guy a third party? You know, the tree, the wasp or whatever that stings it, and then this one is a third party? Or is this the more mature of that? And if that is, that's, you know, that is not a larva. That, well, I mean, that's more like a worm of a larval stage. To me, that doesn't seem like that would be a wasp larva. That looks like it's more of like a caterpillar or a worm larva. Anybody knows, be sure and post it in the comments below. I mean, this is kind of interesting stuff. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but that's the open side of that compartment, and there is a little tiny little egg or barely developing larval form in there. It's just real tiny and hard to see. So, not sure where the, oh, there's the, so it doesn't look like that one. So again, I don't know if that one's that much more mature, or if this is, you know, a parasite of a parasite. But if you want to look in there, so I mean, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 12 different little chambers, and I can't tell, is there another, I don't see any other caterpillar or little worms in this one, but there may be some more. Well guys, I think that's about it. That's all I can discover. You know, since I'm breaking that one open, it's just going to produce more of the same. If you find this interesting, if you want me to do more stuff like this, be sure and give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Thanks so much. Here are two other type of galls. Small one. This one may be similar to the Easter egg type. It's just maybe it was stung on a different part of the branch and so it grows out differently. And then this big, huge one is also a growth caused by possibly a fungus, a beetle that chews into the end of the branch or whatever, but you'll see them, like there's one right there growing on the oak tree.